Here, in the ancient forest of Northern California, photographer Nick Nichols faces the ultimate challenge when he shoots the tallest living things on Earth. Using the latest and cutting-edge technology, he'll attempt to photograph
Gigantic.
a 100-meter redwood tree. Meet Nick Nichols. He's been shooting for National Geographic magazine for more than 20 years. In some of the worst conditions imaginable. And he has a knack for getting close to wildlife. The physical and mental toll can be enormous. Cuts, bruises, disease, and months away from family. So how does a peaceful assignment pose the ultimate challenge? Nick finds out when National Geographic sends him to the redwood forests of California.
To do a story about redwoods, you're gonna have to have a nice picture of a tree. And I've never made one. I've worked in forests for my whole life, and I just never could photograph the tree properly. It's very complicated. I had to get a picture of a tree, and I had to get a picture of a very spectacular tree.
The tree Nick chooses will prove a worthy challenge. It's at least 1,500 years old and more than 100 meters tall. And Nick wants to photograph it from top to bottom to create one single seamless image, something that's never been done before.
But we knew from the start that we had to have a stunning photograph of a single tree. And unfortunately, we've chosen the most complex tree. It's going to be the hardest photograph I've probably ever made.
The way I really found it was I asked the tree climbers, the scientists, what tree do you love the most? And they said this tree. But I couldn't get to it because it was off limits.
There is a danger with focusing on any one tree and drawing attention to it, because then the tree becomes a bit of a celebrity. There can be all kinds of problems. I mean, I've seen a lot of these famous redwood trees. People carve their names in the trunk, and it just becomes kind of a nightmare.
Nick convinces scientist Steve Sillett and his team from Humboldt State University to allow Nick and his assistant, Nathan Williamson, to photograph their favorite tree.
There's lots of reiterated trunks that form a kind of a lattice work, and there's fusions between trunks and limbs, and it's actually a very, very interesting structural scene that we're hoping to capture. It also has, because of its complexity, a lot of stuff living in it. So there's big fern mats, there's huckleberry bushes. We've found a lot of salamanders in this tree living up in there. There's fire scars. And so it's a tree that offers a lot to feast the eyes upon.
Since a redwood is so tall, you can't see the whole thing up close, only the base. To back up and see it all, you'd have to stand at a great distance. Impossible in the dense forest. And from that far back, you'd lose the detail that makes this tree unique. Nick had failed once already, earlier in the assignment, with a different tree.
Clear view.
He strapped a movable tripod to a nearby tree and tried to take pictures as he climbed upward.
I started on the ground, and we put a tripod about 50 feet up, a wooden tripod, so it didn't hurt the tree. And we made this incredible photo at dusk. And I photographed the bottom segment. It was very successful, so I thought, okay, this is what we'll do. We'll go all the way to the top, do 4 pieces, stitch them together, and we've got it. It's going to be fantastic.
Shooting the bottom was easy because nothing blocked the way. But working his way up, he couldn't get a clear view. the perspective was wrong, and getting further back wasn't an option.
Unfortunately, I painted myself into a corner and the picture fell apart.
It didn't work. Nick couldn't make a picture of the whole tree, and with the entire story riding on getting this one magic shot, Nick fell apart.
You know, I call it a nervous breakdown. I don't know what else to call it. I basically broke down over the gravity of making this picture, and I just felt so much responsibility, and I couldn't figure it out technically. I was overwhelmed by the idea. And so eventually it just got to me. I needed a break, and I realized that it was the tree that was haunting me. It was the gravity of living up to what this tree deserved. I mean, that tree's been standing for 1,600 years.
Nick retreats to his Virginia home to rest and reevaluate the assignment, and to determine his next move. After a much-needed break from the project, he picks himself up and heads back to the drawing board at National Geographic headquarters in Washington, D.C. The wooden tripod failed, and now Nick has to go high-tech. He turns to senior editor Ken Geiger to help guide the design.
So we came up with the idea of putting three 35mm cameras together to create a panoramic that we would shoot in layers.
There'll be a camera here, and a camera there. And these end cameras can swivel around.
The result is a T-shaped bar that holds 3 cameras horizontally. It's tested at National Geographic using a utility lift to raise and lower the cameras. The plan is to shoot several photos, then stitch them together to form one composite test photograph. While the rig itself is stable, the cameras create a set of images with an hourglass effect, too wide at the sides, too narrow in the middle. The solution? Position the cameras vertically, with the center of each lens in line, but with the top and bottom cameras angled out from the center to create the panorama. But how do you get the cameras up in the forest canopy? Nick and Ken head to Humboldt State University to find out. The team there has built a motorized dolly that'll be hoisted on ropes.
We finally figured out if we raised this camera up into the air on this line, you could see the tree all the way.
You know what we could do, David? We could take these out and start from here and go all the way through.
They attach the cameras to the dolly rig. The new arrangement still needs fine-tuning. Managing the controls takes practice and a steady hand. Nick will need precise control of the camera's position from 100 meters below, and he must be able to see what each camera sees while he shoots.
You know, blow it up so you can focus it and stuff like that. But you could even use it to hold it steady.
We don't know if it's going to work. I'm talking to you on day one. We don't know if we're going to succeed. What I do know is we're going to make a photograph. I don't think we'll stop until we get it right.
Copy that. Yeah, I'll take care of the reset also.
With dolly and cameras now fully operational, the team heads into the forest to set up the gear and help Nick get a closer look at the tree. Nick must choose which side of the tree to photograph. But first, he has to work out some issues. It's been a while since he's done any serious climbing.
Trees sway. It's scary up there. You know, they can fall down. So I was afraid because I hadn't climbed ropes since 15 years. So this was something I used to be very, very comfortable with, climbing trees. But I'd lost touch with it, so I had to re-find it. And And the team trained me, they protected me, they always watched out when I was clipping and climbing. And it took a while for me not to be afraid.
It's so neat.
I'm used to going up ropes, but I'm not used to swinging out over a chasm and grabbing something. And then, you know, they were constantly putting me in these positions that I needed to be in to make a photograph. So I was afraid a lot. I was afraid a whole lot.
Oh, there she is. Now we're talking. Now it becomes glorious. Yeah, I'm not even a third of the way up. And it's just, you just can't evaluate it from anywhere but right here.
While Nick decides which side to shoot, the ground team assembles the equipment.
Maybe let's add this to, is that a 5-inch?
By the time he touches down, Nick has renewed confidence.
Oh, all the fear is gone now. Down here, I was like, I didn't think it would work. But as soon as you're just a little bit, you start seeing the tree. And you see its character all the way, which is what we're after. And then the top, it's perfect.
The stage is set. It's time to see how well the system performs in the real world. They'll suspend the dolly between two nearby trees, about 13 meters apart. Then they'll lower the cameras 3 meters at a time, taking pictures at each stop. The team sets out before dawn. They'll try to shoot the tree from top to bottom, even during test shots. But will it actually work? It seems to start well. With the dolly in place, the first images come in.
I can see a tree.
So how do you want to do for centering? You go left or right?
But the confidence doesn't last.
Pray we don't get 5 days of sunshine.
The bright sun is a problem. It's creating too much contrast. Too bright in the light, too dark in the shadows.
The light is coming in various irregular patches. So we're hoping for overcast conditions where all of the sky that might be visible would be as if it's a single white light, as opposed to a point source. None of this would work if the sun was out, because you get all these shadows, you get nothing.
Mother Nature, why didn't you give us the bad light while we're doing all this stuff? Give us the good light when we need you, man.
The sun isn't cooperating. Neither is technology. The rig has got to be absolutely still, but it's swaying at the top. And then there are the cameras.
Am I supposed to see a blink if the center camera triggers?
Now, maybe support it from the top.
I'm hearing clicks, but the center camera's not clicking. I triggered. Did you hear it?
Even with a computer controlling the shutters wirelessly, the cameras aren't firing together, leaving gaps like missing puzzle pieces.
Okay, now.
Even worse, the forecast calls for more bright sun.
Well, we're just trying to get our tests. We've already been here half the day and we still don't have it. And what I'm scared of is sunshine. Sunshine is what kills this picture. And if this cloudy weather moves away and we get sunshine, all of what we've done is out the window. There's bound to be another cloudy day sometime in Humboldt County.
Nick retreats without a single photo. It's back to the shop. Controlling the cameras wirelessly isn't working. So the team decides to connect the computer directly to the rig with 100 meters of Ethernet cable. Working through the night, the team sorts out the technical bugs.
There?
Oh, sweet. Sweet, sweet, sweet.
Is it staying there?
It's staying. I'm going to shoot it. Ready?
But the dawn of a new day brings more problems.
Oh, sunshine. Bright spot of sun. Yikes.
Despite unwanted patches of bright sun, the team decides to take a full practice shot.
Good. Hand on the trunk.
And Nick wants to highlight the vast size of the tree by placing climbers in its branches.
I want all four of you. The truth is, I want all four of you. I want the team. So we get Marie and Steve, and see, when there's two of you as a pair, you can do depth. The thing is, if you can show depth in the tree as well as scale, then you really...
Well, that one back section.
But Ken Geiger, the man tasked with digitally stitching the pieces together, has concerns.
It's probably best when you're shooting the people to make sure we have...
I'm doing three positions, right?
Well, no, I'm just saying that they're in the center of the frame.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I'm going to be feathering the top and the bottom of these things.
Yeah.
So if they're on the edge, I'm going to have a hard time keeping them in and lining everything up.
Okay.
Giacomo, you just give us, I'm watching you, but you give
As
us
the day progresses, the shape of the picture begins to come together.
Exposure, see? Sweet.
That's nice.
Yeah, perfect.
In the nearby town of Auric, Nick and Ken review the day's set of images. And Ken begins his high-tech sewing job, stitching the test picture together. He's got the raw images from Nick's digital cameras to work with. From 28 stops down the tree's trunk, Nick took sets of overlapping photos. Ken picks the best of each and lines them up carefully.
I will admit that even after we shot the photographs, I go, okay, we've done the best we can to capture a good set of images. Will it go together? I still didn't know if I could actually stitch it all together.
It takes 84 separate pieces to create one seamless image, a full-length test portrait of the tree. The detail is spectacular.
There's a salamander. There's a salamander right there. That is sweet.
It shows the team where they succeeded and what still needs to be fixed for the final picture.
That is good looking, man.
The day of the picture begins long before sunrise. Nick has worked out where the climbers should be positioned, and he directs them into the branches.
Giacomo goes right away to the top.
Okay.
We've already got him drilled into that one. Jim do the bottom bit, and you guys do the middle.
Okay.
If we're getting ready to shoot a picture on your level, don't move your feet, and if you're holding onto the tree, and in all of these, everybody moved.
It's actually not daylight.
Pull it up a little bit.
Yeah, Steve,
mind
that
pulling it up
branch
just a
that
little
you're, you know, that one that you were talking about, that's where you should, we want you on that. We'll take you out of the alignment with Marie and get some depth back in there.
Right now, it's going to be kind of cold.
No, I know, I know it. It's just I'm worried about it not happening.
Even in perfect, overcast lighting, hidden parts of the tree need illumination. Nick knows just what areas require extra light, and he uses a high-powered military flashlight to fill in the shadows.
Well, Nathan Williamson, my assistant, is hanging in another tree with a $5,000 military flashlight, and that's what he's painting in the tree with.
As they wait for the sunrise, Nick gets a weather report from the top of the tree.
Is it glowing?
With a gold glow or something, it's a very light blue with a faint, maybe yellowish in it, but mostly just a light blue.
With these. Is the sun got to go through clouds, or has he got a clear horizon to the east?
You know, it's patchwork clouds.
With the dolly in position, 100 meters above the ground, and the sun about to rise, Nick faces a new challenge: waiting.
My life is built on shooting, not waiting. I shoot until it's good, and then I'm still there. This bit of trying to wait till it's just right is like freaking me out.
With practice shots behind them and the cameras ready, Nick begins his masterpiece.
Giacomo, stay with us. We're gonna drop, but you gotta stay in that position. Getting a lot of bounce now. I'm going for it. Okay, let's do this. Rock, right? A little bit lower. And go to the next one. 2 meters, Ken. Go profile just a teeny bit. Your leg looks a little funny, I'm sorry. Just reposition your leg. Rotate your knee toward the trunk of the tree, Murray. That's it. Perfect. Jim, stay there for this one. Give us 3. Is there any point in you back like you? Jim, reposition so you're fresh. You look a little, I think you look a little like you're trying too hard. Just let go and go back to it.
So, thank you so much for your...
Okay, give me 3.
With one last placement of a climber, the camera rig reaches the base of the tree.
That's it, yeah.
And the end of a photograph.
There, that's it, right there.
After a year of planning, weeks in the field, endless setbacks, and over 100 hours of stitching and fine-tuning, Nick and his team accomplished something never seen before: a seamless photo of a redwood in all its glory, from base to crown.
As a photographer, you never go out thinking something's impossible. You'll fail. You have to go out with the attitude that you're going to do everything possible to make it happen.
It took a year to figure it out in my head and get the pieces and the characters and all the help that you needed to do this and then to make it work.
You could feel it. That this is a living, breathing thing. And that tree's been standing for 1,600 years. So, you know, how many of me and you have come and gone in that time?